Dude, I love Lawrence of Arabia. I read, I think, a couple books about him in 6th grade. I think I did a project on him. Lawrence of Arabia was like a huge inspiration for me growing up because I thought the Middle East was super understood and I was going to be the first white guy to understand him. And then I found out Lawrence of Arabia did it first. And then we forgot about him. So technically I would have been the first, but...
The first person to understand Middle Eastern people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for, you know, the important, like, meaningful world.
Yes.
The Western world.
Exactly.
Shout out to Lawrence.
I remember watching that movie on a Boy Scout trip, and we started watching it at 11 o'clock at night.
It is a long movie.
It is
like 4.5 hours.
And I remember like halfway through, I'm like, this is a good movie, but I cannot pay attention.
I remember watching that. I think it was around 6th grade when Miss Henson got us in on all that.
Oh, man.
Dude, Miss Henson tried to get us in a lot of stuff that was actually really good. Like the Mouse comics, like all that stuff, like some good stuff.
Shout out to our teachers, man, for inspiring us to consume good media.
Mm-hmm.
Like the movie we watched.
Yeah. Hidden between patches of insanity and
well, welcome to the Beers, B-Movies, and Battle Royales podcast. I'm Nick Zamboni.
I'm Sam Collins.
I'm Wesley Hassa.
Hassa?
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
I think I'm going to change.
Welcome to the BBB podcast. Here's a brand new person.
I think I'm going to change. Well, all right. I changed my name in junior year of high school, which was completely my prerogative.
Stephen.
Yes, I went from Stephen, not Stephen.
I didn't say that.
Stefan.
said Stephen.
Stefan.
The audio record will show. So I changed my name, but my family has always mispronounced my German last name. It's a very uncommon last name. It's Hase. It is the German word for hare or rabbit. And we've always pronounced it Hasi. Most people will call it Hase or Hasey or anything like that. So we called it Hasi, which didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I looked it up. It's pronounced Haza. So I think I'm just going to go with that because why can't a curly-haired white boy be ethnic? Why can't I be proud of my heritage? Is it because I'm German? Is it because I'm white?
Saying my last name properly?
How do you say?
Zamboni.
Yeah.
No, it's Zamboni. Sit down. You lost
Zamboni.
the war.
I'll be honest. I went to the doctor today, and one nurse called me Hayes, and she's like, "Did I say that right?" I'm like, "Yes." And then the other nurse called me Hayes, and she's like, "Did I say that right?" I'm like, "Yes." Like I don't correct people. I don't correct people. It's not worth the effort. But enough about me. Who's our guest star today?
Hello, everyone. My name is Joey Upper. Super excited to be here today.
You should never have to introduce yourself. That's
true. Sam,
that's
can you
really
introduce our
disrespectful of us.
That's true. And you were all staring at me as it happened, which is not it's not my favorite moment of today so far.
Please welcome a very good friend of ours, Joey Upper, who we're very excited to have on the podcast because he has a great, funny perspective on many different things, albeit kind of a strange person. But
he's a paragon of Greensboro, theater entrepreneur,
general
absolute thespian.
Thespian.
Once called the Sean Astin of the greater Greensboro area.
I can see it.
Wow. That's
I
amazing.
did that. I called myself that.
Also known as the Piedmont Triad.
Yeah. Not only did Joey join us, but he brought us some beverages. Joey, what do we drink during the movie?
Okay, so during the movie we drank Four Roses small batch. It is a bourbon straight from Kentucky, and it is a combination, as I whipped it out on my phone to verify, of 4 different bourbon recipes that they make. I was on a trip, a bachelor party with a friend of mine who loves bourbon, and I hate bourbon. Really? And we went to quite a few different venues
so you
doing
bought a whole bottle of it.
doing bourbon tasting, and he is having the time of his life. We're at like Buffalo Trace, and Four Roses was one of them. And when we got to Four Roses, we're sitting there, and they do these itty bitty baby micro shots, and they're like, "This is how you sample bourbon. You hold it in your mouth."
Bourbon.
And I drank this one, and there was like just a moment where I was like, "Oh, I get it. I get why people drink brown colored liquor now. It's the only bourbon. Before then or after then, I probably tried 30 over the course of those 2 days. This is the only one I liked, but I love it. So I brought it, and it is good. It is very good.
Not to alarm anyone, but as I was listening to that really wonderful explanation of the Four Roses bourbon, the street light just like flickered. Oh, it's doing it right now.
Yeah.
The street light's flickering.
Horrifying.
Don't worry about that.
Reminds us of the movie a little bit.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna die.
Rick.
Dude, if only.
Yeah, so that's been going on for like 6 months, and it still freaks me out.
That's terrible, dude.
Dude, that's good value for that light bulb.
Haunted.
Yeah, it's
cursed.
It is cursed.
It's out right now,
But
I'll turn back on.
I mean, I think I'm kind of like Joey, where before having Four Roses, where like I've had some bad experiences with whiskey and bourbon, just in undergrad, and I wasn't really a big fan of it to begin with. But this one was pretty smooth. I didn't finish it. That's pretty normal for me.
Yeah, it's good. It is there.
I finished it for 'em.
So they've got like a regular Four Roses. They've got a small batch, and then they've got a what do they call it? Single barrel, maybe. Super fancy one. I think there's a small batch select in there, but this is the one where they're like, this is the mildest of them. And while mild isn't something I normally go seeking out, it really works in this one. It's also 90 proof. It's 45% alcohol. So it's very strong.
Yeah.
It's very strong alcohol. So you don't need very much of it either, which is great.
Speak for yourself, Joey.
It didn't really have the smell of it. That's the first thing I noticed. It smelled like alcohol. And when I smell bourbon and whiskey.
It smelled like
Well,
alcohol.
no.
I smelled liquor and it smelled like alcohol.
Well,
Sam writes books in his spare time.
Guys. So, like, I've had other whiskeys and bourbons that are like, I mean, Joey said you said this was a top shelf one. And so, like, the bourbon that I have in the fridge tastes like, not the fridge, that I have up there.
Psycho?
It tastes, I mean, it
He's
smells like.
referred to his entire upstairs as the fridge, just for those of you who can't see what we're seeing right now.
But it smelled like cinnamon and also alcohol. It didn't have just the alcohol smell. And I
Very
think
true.
It does smell like Di Serono,
It does.
but it does not taste like it.
He's correct on both counts.
So, getting back to the brews portion, Wesley, do you want to talk about our brew for today?
Sure. So I brought the brews today. It is a brand called Orange Boom. Orange Boom?
Orange de Boom.
We try to look up how to pronounce that. I'm not sure.
That's pretty phonetically correct.
It is a Dutch beer, which means it's from Holland or the Netherlands. It is a premium lager beer. Apparently, it's a pretty popular beer there, but I found it in Trader Joe's. I haven't seen this brand anywhere else.
I definitely believe them.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, yeah, this is super Dutch.
Joey doesn't drink beer, so don't trust him.
The reason why we have the bourbon review is because of our friend Joey, who does not drink beer. So we needed to make accommodations for him.
It's true. I'm weak.
Sure. But this beer, Trader Joe's always stocks quality stuff. These cans come in like the tall boy variant, so like it's a full pint. So
it's like a 40 different. Right there.
It's not, Sam would say. Sam saw our tall boy.
It's been a long week,
like, is that a 40? That's got to be like 20 ounces.
It's been a really long week.
And 40 stands for 40 ounces for our non-drinkers. But it's a really delightful beer. I think a 6-pack retails for around $7-8. So it's on the premium side. And I compare it most to a Blue Moon, which is a Belgian wheat ale with some orange notes, and I'd say this is probably exactly the same. I even think it tastes a little nicer than a Blue Moon. I think it has a little bit more of the orange flavor, a little bit more citrusy, zest. So if you have a Trader Joe's near you, check it out. It's a really delightful beer. It's easy to drink. Yeah.
Good old TJ.
And if you don't have a Trader Joe's near you, move, you filthy hill people.
Yeah, or wait 6 months because one will probably open.
Yes, it will pop up right next to the Dollar General.
All right, so for the whiskey, or I'm sorry, Kentuckians, the bourbon that we drank, we're gonna.
Close one.
So normally we do tabs. So for the beer we'll do tabs, but for the bourbon we're gonna do corks. So 1 out of 5 corks. I'll start out. I'm gonna give it a 2 corks out of 5.
Whoa. Whoa.
Ooh, I
I just
loved
like,
it. I only drank part of it.
so,
but,
like,
absolutely.
I did finish Sam's bourbon.
So I'm already off to a bad start because I don't really like bourbon or whiskey, but I've had some good ones in the past few months.
Biased
and
opinion here.
That does not meet the snuff. But Nick, what do you think of the bourbon?
I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I mean, it went down easy. I only winced like 3 times, as
Proud
one
of you.
does when they drink hard liquor.
Proud of you.
Yeah, it was good. I when I smelled it, I was anticipating Di Serono, and obviously, that's not what it was. There was no sugar in this, and so I just kind of like puckered up. I don't know. It's good. I'm buzzed. So everything's good right now. 3 out of 5 corks.
That's fair. I'll always be the harsh critic here. I like liquor a lot. I can drink a handle like a sippy cup. Bottom shelf, doesn't matter.
He's a pirate.
So my experience with bourbon has always been like mid shelf. I mean, if you can call it that, like Jim Beam, that kind of liquor.
Jim Beam's like bottom shelf.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, man.
Still
I
good
think
though.
Jim Beam's
Is
great.
it really bottom shelf?
There's no way.
It's not bottom shelf
it's like-
price.
It's like the second to bottom, or
Okay.
was today.
All right, sorry.
I don't
everybody.
have to bend over.
The liquor
get the
stores
Jim
I go
Beam.
to have 3
Yeah, but you
shelves. So there's bottom shelf, mid shelf,
could. They're-
and top shelf.
It is there.
So mid to bottom shelf, and I think that's tasty.
It's the,
I think this
it's
is
the people's liquor.
sure.
Jim Beam.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why
So
not?
this is definitely a step above that. I enjoyed it a lot. It had a little bit more character, a little bit more flavor. Yeah, they mentioned notes of cinnamon, other things like that. But at the end of the day, still has the base bourbon flavor, nice smokiness, peat flavor to it as any other whiskey, Scotch malt might. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I
Wow.
enjoyed it.
Wow. The cynic gives it a 4 out of 5.
Okay, so let me ask a clarifying question. If
No.
we're rating it,
No.
if we're rating it on a scale of 1 to 5 corks, is it 1 to 5 corks in contrast to other bourbons or other liquors total? Because those are very different
I think
answers.
compared into other bourbons.
Compared to other bourbons, Nick just gave huge eyebrows, so I'm going to answer both questions. Compared to other bourbons, I would not have bought it. It's not a cheap liquor, so I would not have bought it if I did not really like it. So compared to other bourbons, it's 5 out of 5. If you're going to compare it to other liquor, there are other distilleries that make other forms of liquor that I do like better. I think this is the best bourbon that I'm going to find south of something really expensive that you're not going to find in a liquor store generally, but there's still like Sutler's Gin is huge. That's kind of what
You and
I
I
reserve.
both share a love for gin.
I love
Yes.
gin.
I love gin too.
Gin
There's,
Okay,
is
we
nothing,
all love
there's
gin.
nothing like drinking mildly
Don't
and then
start
being
weird.
Don't try to
sleepy.
hop on the train.
This
This
don't
isn't
start
me.
trying to
This isn't
form
me and
bonds.
Joey thing. This
No,
isn't me
no,
and
no,
Joey.
no, no. No,
I've already said it.
no.
I already said it.
If
I
y'all-
already said it. Dibs.
All right,
Dibs.
Seagrams drinking contest. Next
Seagrams?
podcast.
Seagrams.
Yes.
All right, Wesley Hussey.
Graham.
We'll drink your Seagrams.
All right, we can do beef eaters.
If I had known y'all
We could do
drink
Bombay.
gin, I would have brought good gin, because Sutler's Gin is like you can drink it by itself,
You'll be back. So
which is
we'll do
all
that.
right.
we'll do
Joey's
that for the
invited
next go round. But I'd give this a 4 out of 5. This is a if I go to a bar and want to drink, like have a drink, I ask for this right away. Like a hard, what is that?
All right. You didn't ask for it on Wings Night.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't think they had it there.
That's true.
I'm not sure
I
they
don't
had
think
very
our
much
dive
there.
bar had top shelf bourbon.
It's hard to find at restaurants, which is a pain. But 4 out of 5 overall liquor, 5 out of 5 for bourbon.
All right.
Cool.
I agree with Joey's opinion.
all right.
I'll defer to the expert.
What the Orange Boom is that? What do we say? How,
Orange Boom.
Orange
boom.
Orange Boom.
Yeah, I listened to 2 pronunciations.
So,
So it was
like-
kind of muddled.
Having this beer
Someone's
made me think
offended
that
now.
I overrated my beer from last week, which doesn't matter at this point. But I would give this beer a solid 3 out of 5. It's worth going back to. I think Wesley did a great comparison of Blue Moon with some orange to it, and I do love a Blue Moon with some orange, and it's better than that
That's not bad for a Trader Joe's pickup.
for real. And also the tall boy. It is a tall boy, not a 40.
40.
I was corrected of that very quickly.
It's a 40.
You can't make any mistakes in our group.
No,
That's
we
true.
are
We are
ruthless.
like middle
It's
school
very humbling.
girls.
It's very good.
We'll rip you up.
But,
Okay. Weasel.
I would agree with Sam. I mean, I really like this beer a lot. It does remind me of Blue Moon. I mean, Blue Moon's their claim to fame is they're brewed with orange peel, and then they always add like a slice of orange to the bottle. You know, you get that at fancy events and whatnot. But I think this beer is what that beer wants to be. Which Blue Moon is very good.
Excited
Blue Moon
air
is
horn
very
noises.
good, but I think this is what it wants to be. But at the same time, like, I enjoy it. I would buy this again. It's memorable. It's going to be a staple in my beer drinking diet, but I would give it a 3 out of 5. It's simple. It's plain, drinkable, good value, all around, solid.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page as you. I think I'm going to give it a slight edge. I'm going to say 3.5 tabs out of 5 just because I'm impressed. Like, Blue Moon's a solid beer.
Blue Moon is fantastic. It's a go-to at a wedding
And this is
reception.
like slightly better. And maybe even better than just slightly better. I mean, it's
I would
very
agree.
good.
I would agree.
So to me, that's impressive.
All right, if we're
And
doing
so
fractions.
I'm like, I'm in. Like, give me like a hint of orange, and I'm sold. So I'm gonna say 3.5
Yeah.
out of 5 for sure.
Wes, thanks for bringing the beer, and Joey, thanks for bringing the bourbon.
Absolutely.
Greatly appreciated.
I do want to plug our Twitter because we are going to be bringing that back
Yes.
as a platform for content. But if you guys want us to review a beer or a specific drink,
John Thaggart.
even if it's like a bad one, like we'll drink something terrible and review that.
Well, Nick
just
will.
I'll
for
drink
fun.
my own piss.
Wesley will do that. We'll watch.
It's a 0
Did
out
someone
of 5 for
recommend
me.
I'll
Bud
drink my
Light, or-
prison wine.
Yeah. Okay. We'll brew some
Red
prison
velvet wine?
Here's my
Red
pocket
velvet
wine. My turlet.
Yeah. So shoot us a message on Twitter, add us, whatever you got to do. Give us some suggestions. We'll do some engagement and tweet out.
And that's at BB Nick and Sam, or BBB Nick and
you
Sam.
always mess this up.
Yeah, bed and breakfast, Nick and
He
Sam.
doesn't run the account, even though he's the boss of this whole operation.
It's at BBB Nick and Sam.
Sorry, Wes.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll get
So are
it
all
changed.
of us.
No, I'm just jumping on the bandwagon. I'm happy
But,
that Sam manages that. I would, if I was on Twitter, dude, I'd be. Oh, we would not have any fans.
Yeah, spicy meatball up
I
in
would
here.
be slinging it out.
But this week we watched a horror movie. Just kind of in with spooky season
And
being right
yeah,
now.
Just to clarify, we took a break from like the B movie category and went for just like a good horror
Yeah.
movie.
I mean, there's some arguments that this could be a B movie because I mean, like, it is a lower budget movie for something that's going to Sundance. And so
Budget was $2 million, by the way.
yeah,
Whoa.
but we watched some movies that have $40 million budgets. So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So
definitely.
in context to what we've have reviewed,
Yeah, I'm saying that's low.
in context, B doesn't necessarily mean low budget. It could mean just a bad movie.
But what was the $40 million movie that was bad?
10,000 BC.
10,000 people.
Oh, yeah, that's
One
a
of
horrible
the worst
movie.
movies ever made.
Horrible movie.
But we watched The Babadook this time. It came out in 2014. It premiered at the 2014 Sundance Film Festival, and it set place in is it Adelaide?
Yep.
It is set in Adelaide.
Oh, yeah, and it's set in
Which
Adelaide.
is in Australia.
Yeah, Adelaide, Australia. Wes got us thrown for a loop by saying it was in Britain, and we all believed him.
we did.
I did not.
We
For the
did.
record.
No,
I did.
I thought we were messing with you guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was in
yeah.
on the joke, guys. I
They
was in on the
they
joke.
have clearly Australian accents, but the movie does not look like it's in Australia.
No.
It's very bleak and
It's
gray
very bleak
movie.
and depressing, much like England.
Yes.
So get wrecked.
Get
British
wrecked,
people.
the British.
Yeah.
Said
But,
Wesley Hassa.
The Germans will rise again.
Not today.
I
Don't
can.
say that.
I can't say it.
But the movie starts out with Amelia, the one of two protagonists, and she is in her car, and there's a car accident, and her husband Oscar passes away.
He's dunzo.
He is done,
He is. You highlight him and then you hit Control X.
and then don't paste him back in.
You do
there.
not paste him back. You highlight
gone.
something else and then do Control C. So he's gone forever.
But it starts off with on the first scene is Oscar dying, and then it flashes forward to 7 years later with her son Samuel, and it starts off with a bang. Like, this kid is
a handful.
Yeah,
He's
screaming. He's pushing kids around, being aggressive, and
he's struggling. He's struggling being fatherless.
And then Amelia, the single mom, is struggling too because she's a nurse and she's working super hard, and then
At a retirement home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I think she's
Not
a
just
CNA.
not like a well-paid nurse,
yeah. I guess
Last
she maybe is a
moments
CNA.
She might have been a
nurse.
CNA, which is just so much worse.
Yeah,
The hardest job in the world.
for real. And one of the first scenes is like, she's like, hey, you got a call about your son, and then she goes to the principal's office and has a discussion with her son's teacher and the principal, saying, hey, like, we're gonna get this mentor for your son, and she's like, I'm not getting this. Like, you guys need to take care of my kid. And
I'm going to find another school.
yeah, she takes him out of school, and then
It ends up being like 2 weeks that he's out of school.
yeah.
That's the whole course of the movie.
Yeah.
This movie takes place over a very short period of time. The movie's only an hour and a half long, but we all discussed it. It feels a lot longer.
I thought it was a 2.5 hour
felt
movie.
like- and it's not in a bad way
No.
either. Like
It's just very
the
full.
Tension.
yeah,
The
it's
tension
very
is
stressful.
so palpable. I mean, you guys could see me. I was curled up on the couch. I could not
So
stand
for
watching
everyone-
any
for
single
everyone
scene.
listening that doesn't know, Wesley really struggles with horror movies.
I hate horror movies.
He
I
hates
open a loot chest in Call of Duty and freak out. Remember we played that Halloween update, dude?
Yeah, I remember that.
So
that
for
almost
us
killed
to
it
be
for
able
me.
to get him to watch this is a big deal.
He's
And
very
so It's
brave.
kind of a special moment.
I did see it before,
He has seen it before.
which I didn't know it was as scary as it was before. So it kind of discounted it a little bit. I do think. I mean, we'll get into the themes and stuff later, so I'll bring that back up. But it's definitely top 5, top 10 horror movie. But it's not like your jump scare, like pure gore horror movie you could see in something else, like pure demon, all this other stuff. Like
the atmosphere is what makes it
yeah,
so
the atmosphere and the
scary.
tension and the pacing of it is just so exquisite. You just can't help to be drawn in.
Yeah.
Sorry, we digress.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I could talk about that all
But
day.
basically, so the kid is he's an insomniac, I would say. Would you
Definitely.
guys agree with that?
Well,
Yeah.
it definitely indicates that he suffers from autism.
Or
extreme autism.
or just
yeah, I don't
know about autism.
No,
I
but
could see some antisocial personality disorder.
there's definitely something wrong, and the mother is too scared to get it diagnosed.
Yeah,
Because she
there's-
so badly wants it to turn out
There's
to be
something
normal.
serious going on behind the scenes. for
Yeah,
him.
you very quickly realize he's being. I mean, aside from not having a father, I mean, we all have our own opinions on about how families should be structured and whatnot. Like, he definitely has issues around not having a father, whether being a single mom has affected him or not. Like, she is not providing for him completely.
And she says that she's moved on, but she's still very much
Right.
suffering from the death
I
of her
think
husband.
it becomes very apparent early on that he is being neglected in a sense,
Yeah.
which is not a judgment on their family status, but it's very clear like they are struggling without
Yeah.
a male presence in the home.
And the other point to that is that the mom, he is being neglected, but she could not possibly be doing any more
That's
to
true.
try to make it work.
That's true. She's
So-
doing you feel
Yeah,
immediately
the tension is just
There's
this
just-
obvious need that
the mood
cannot
is
be addressed.
exasperation.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just at every turn there's another obstacle for her. in
you
life.
watch this movie and immediately you're like, we all joked about it, like I'm never having kids.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you realize like,
Horror.
there's crappy kids out there, but
The true
mom
horror is
trying
children.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
she's trying so hard to make things work, and he's just got issues.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I mean, he's got issues, but he's still like a very clever and very intelligent.
Yes.
and
That's true.
like,
That's true.
I mean, he had
So
a
one of the
backpack that was a
yeah.
catapult, and
He
then
gets in trouble. That was
Yeah.
the thing he gets in trouble at school for
Yeah.
is having the catapult.
My
back.
man is 6 and learned siege engineering, presumably
Yeah, I know.
not from his mother.
and
I
like,
know. You usually have to reach castle age
But
in
it
Age of Empires
does
to get
does
that.
imply that his dad was like an inventor because of the downstairs area where he has all those inventions. and
True.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Devices devices.
the
and
parallels are played throughout.
So
the
he's
movie.
very much like his father, and I
Yeah.
think that's part of one of the
Ooh.
themes where
Okay,
she
I haven't
struggles
really-
so much.
She
Oh.
she resents him a little bit
All
for
right,
it.
I took a couple movie theory
No, I thought I
classes.
kind of had it
Yeah.
figured out, but now that we're talking about it,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
And
see
I
it now.
will talk about it a little bit more, but let's let Sam get back to the plot.
Yeah, but this
Oh.
kid is like crazy talented, and like the mom is just, she's very supportive. She like it's like encouraging him to make new things and to keep working on the things that he's already created. And like he's a magician, and like they they share she loves to read nighttime stories to her son because he's an insomniac, and then because of that,
Amongst other things.
All right, we're gonna skip that scene for all our
yes.
good Christian listeners, but for
Yes.
all our non-Christian listeners, stay tuned.
but because of the insomnia, the mom is also struggling to sleep. And I mean, from the early on, it's like they don't sleep, and like when you don't sleep, like that's when like things get real crazy, and also I think it was like in the first scene of the movie where like the son Sam comes into the room, is like, hey, there's a monster, and then like she's like checking underneath the bed, it's like, hey, it's all fine. But this whole movie, like Sam is just saying like, hey, like there's this monster in the closet, and I'm seeing it, and Mom, you're gonna see it at one point. And like she just like doesn't believe him. And then we see a book that
Which comes kind of out of nowhere, and Samuel just says he got it out of the bookcase, and he just hands her the book to read to him at nighttime, and it's a pop-up book, and it's called Mr. Babadook.
Yep.
And it's just a pop-up book, and I don't remember the words exactly, and I'm not going to try to pretend to remember them, but essentially saying that the Babadook is going to knock, 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 and then come and basically murder your family or possess your family. And she starts reading it, and she doesn't realize that it's a disturbing book until she flips a certain page, and it gets to a point where Sam's freaking out because it's like, this is scary.
Yeah.
And you can kind of feel that tension rising as she's flipping each page, and the images get scarier and more horrifying. And then it's clear that this book is not, it's a malicious book.
Yeah.
And, she takes it and hides it on top of the bookcase and starts reading Samuel a different book. But yeah, it's really weird. That's one of the things that did bother me in the plot, is just how this book came out of nowhere.
It's actually my biggest beef with the whole movie.
It is. I think that's my biggest beef with the movie too. And if there's one thing that you can nitpick on, is where did this book come from?
Yeah.
It just kind of appears out of nowhere. There's no discovery. There's no, hey, we found this in an alleyway, or like some weird dude sold it to us, or we didn't pick this up at an antique shop. He just kind of pulls it out, and he's like, here's this book, and there's a demon in it, so that's my one gripe. But that's like the only thing I can really find that really bothers me about this movie.
Yeah. But, I mean, basically the rest of the movie is just this escalation of kind of the estrangement of like the mom and the son kind of from everyone around them. So, this kind of, they have Claire, is it Amelia's sister? Is that?
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sister.
And like, so like, they're tight, and their children are hanging out together, and then
They've had joint birthdays every year.
And basically Claire's like, like, I don't want to see your son anymore. And at one point, Claire's daughter is, being very aggressive and being very mean to Sam, and Sam pushes her out of a treehouse, and then Claire goes, yeah, we're done, basically.
Yeah.
The little girl did break her nose.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
To
very
be fair,
visceral. It's
she
a
was-
very visceral scene.
She's being very mean.
And at the scene, we all remarked to it visually because Amelia, is that her name? Amelie? Amelia. Yeah, she, throughout the movie, is very unkempt. She's very stressed out, looks very haggard. All the women at this birthday party are all wearing like sleek attire.
It looks like a
hair
Pampered
and
Chef
makeup.
show.
Yeah, we all are like, wow, these people could not be from different worlds. And they have an altercation. Amelia and Claire are at odds because it's very clear that Amelia has not moved on from her husband's death, even though it was 7 years ago. And I think that kind of foreshadows a lot of the tension in the movie. And the same time, Sam has not moved on because his cousin at her birthday party, where they're having a princess birthday party, and he's only invited because of posterity's sake, she's teasing Sam that he doesn't have a dad anymore. He doesn't have a dad because his dad is dead, but he is adamant that he does have a dad. And because of her incessant teasing, he pushes her out of the treehouse, which causes her to break her nose, which causes a very big falling out between Amelia and her sister Claire.
Yeah, I think at one point she says that he doesn't have a dad because his dad didn't want to be his father, and that's why he died. It's brutal.
Yeah,
it is a hard scene.
A lot of guilt there.
So, I'll say this, and then you can get back onto the plot, Sam. But a lot of the tension and horror in this movie is also built around like the social norms being kind of thrown in your face, and just how people look down on this family, people look down on this kid, and all these like horrific moments where you get this realization of, oh, geez, that's really painful to watch, or that's really awkward to watch. And a lot of the beginning parts of the movie is being built up around those really, really painful interactions, and that kind of sets the stage for all the horror that follows it.
Yeah, I think before kind of going more into the plot and kind of more, I feel like, kind of the themes that we'll be talking about are kind of really show themselves in the movie. Like, what are you guys liking so far? Kind of like, a quarter of the way, approaching halfway through the movie. Like, what are you noticing? Like, what sticks out?
So the thing that strikes me about this movie the most is the sound engineering. So one of the most impactful scenes for me is when the mom is reading the Babadook book to Sam, and as soon as she opens it, you hear this high-pitched noise that's reminiscent of crickets, and it's like a very unpleasant noise. And there's a moment where she shuts the book and there's no sound, no music, nothing. It's just dead silent. And then she opens it back up and the crickets noise, high-pitched, uncomfortable sound comes back. The entire movie is like that. So all the tension and all of the like horror is built through the sound, and they build it up so well, and they time it so well. That's the thing that makes me love this movie so much, is the music and the sound. And there's actually not that much music. And a lot of the sound is no sound, and that's part of the horror. Is you're used to watching movies with music and sound and cues that you play off of, but this movie lets the tension speak for itself and lets what's happening in front of you speak for itself. That's definitely my favorite part.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the first thing that I noticed so this is the third time I've watched this movie actually, and that was the first thing that I noticed, and that's usually the first thing I notice with any movie. I think what I noticed about it this time was, I think Wes, you brought up, was the stylistic choices that they made. I think we compared it to kind of a Wes Anderson, where it's very kind of symmetrical, and like there's just like intentional choices as far as the color schemes and like the setup of a room, and
people dress a certain way.
Yeah,
there's a certain color scheme. The decor is very specific. So if you imagined Wes Anderson making a horror movie, or like Wes Anderson being a different kind of trauma than he is, that's like, this is a Wes Anderson horror movie. Like it's very specifically themed. All of the non-main characters are in black suits and pencil skirts.
Yeah,
like
they all look like they're going to a funeral.
Very carefully chosen. Right. Yeah, exactly. Everyone's dressed like they're going to a funeral. So yeah, that's also one of my favorite parts, is you can just see like they really own up to that theme and they stick with it the entire movie.
Yeah, they're very consistent.
Yeah, they do. I'll just say I hate this movie, and every bit of it is awful because it's just awful. But yeah, we mentioned the stylistic parts of it. We mentioned the wardrobes and whatnot. Yeah, everything is very intentional in this movie. The cinematography is very poignant it is very much like a Wes Anderson movie. All the colors are chosen very specifically for each scene. The look of the characters, the main characters, Sam and his mom, they're just kind of creepy, sickly looking. Like you just the way they looked, you can just feel the
Unkempt.
the horror. Yeah, unkempt. But you also feel like the existential horror they have. There's a lot of scenes where, I mean, the mom is watching TV late at night and she's just droning on and on, like eating junk food in one scene or seeing something creepy on one channel, and all of a sudden it's an ad for some piece of crap on the other thing. And then Sam is being he's being a normal kid in one sense, and then all of a sudden he's complaining about something else. So like you feel like this sense of existential horror all the time throughout the movie. Like I watched probably more than half of it through the slits of my fingers and my legs over my head. But even in the calm scenes where there's not like an explicit horror moment, like you just feel this sense of dread.
It's tense.
This misery that this family has. And I mean, the house they have and the clothes they wear and the situation they have.
Everything's
very
gray
ominous.
and like blue steel colored and depressing.
Yeah, you can't escape it. So I appreciate that aspect of it very much so. It elevates itself above its competition in very subtle ways that a lot of other horror movies aspire to, with way bigger budgets and way more explicit motifs.
Yeah.
Joey, what do you think about the acting in this movie?
It's pretty good for the most part. The kid I was all over the place about in the beginning, because it's having a bad child actor in any film, regardless of the size of their role, can either make or destroy the film, because there are very few good ones, and this kid is very, very talented. But the mom is quite good. I actually got a lot of the vibes. I can't remember her name, but the lead in Hereditary, it might be because their circumstances are so similar in the first portions of the film, but very similar vibe. I think a lot of it, a lot of the emotion that they're trying to convey with these people is done with camera shots, as opposed to doing it dead on to their face, which, I mean, there's plenty of that, just like in any other movie. So, but I would say that the director made the job a little easier for them. There are a couple of supporting characters, pretty much all of which are fine, but the main two, and it really is just about the main two, pretty much exclusively, are both very good, which is great, because this movie would tank if they were not pretty much perfect where they were.
Yeah. I think I thought the kid was great, because, for me, he was just, I loved him, and I also thought he was really annoying.
Yeah. I kind of gave him credit, because I'm pretty sure he was supposed to be really annoying. And there were moments where I was like, all right, this kid's just annoying, but the whole thing is a mess. And we're playing into, we already talked about how basically the theme of the movie is exasperation. And if you want to be exasperated by a child, they pick the freaking right child. Like, good Lord.
Yeah. So I think we should finish the plot up after I say this, but I think the two biggest themes in this movie are grief and mental illness, and there's definitely other important themes, but the mental illness part, this kid captures so well. I mean, they cast very, very well for this movie, and I think exasperation's a great word. It's just, you feel that just, like, what is next for this family?
Yeah, for those of you who have not seen this movie and don't plan on it, but still know what memes are, if you have not seen the "why can't you be normal" and then just response with screeching meme, that's directly from this movie, and was hilarious to see, because I did not know that before we started watching this movie. It's very good.
Yeah, basically the movie, it kind of escalates really quickly as far as, there's I don't know if it's called child services, but child services basically comes and is checking on her son, and basically the son says, I'm really tired from all the drugs that my mom's giving me, And then it shows the two child service people. They're just like, and like, well, we'll be back in a week. And, you know, after that, it just really escalates. I mean, you know, the mom's giving her kid ice cream at like probably late at night, and then is like freaking out on him the next second. And like, it basically like the mom just wants to sleep, but also she just wants to stay up, because at this point, you know, the Babadook is actually showing himself to the mom, and like she sees him, and at one point, like, I mean, the Babadook like went into her, and like that was like kind of the book was like, let me in, and that's like kind of like the Babadook wanted to be in the lives of the mom and the son, and then the mom let the Babadook in, and then from then, basically, mom locks her son and herself into the house, and the son is freaking out. Like, he is just, I remember there's one scene where she's on the bed, and then Sam's trying to comfort Amelia, and then she just like flips out on him, and then he runs to the chair, and then he just is like Wes, where he's got his knees up high, his legs on the couch of the chair, and he's just watching his mom, and then she falls asleep, and then basically a few nights of like craziness happens, and you know, the mom attempts to kill, and she actually kills the dog, and then she attempts to kill her son, and like it turns into Home Alone, basically, where
the worst version of Home Alone,
and like
nightmare version.
The son is just trying to stay alive and shooting his mom with this makeshift crossbow that he has and the catapult that he has, and he's just trying to lure her downstairs so that he can tie her down. And at this point, the Babadook is manifesting himself inside of Amelia, and Amelia's tied on the ground by Sam, and Sam's like, "You're not well, like you're sick." And then she's just freaking out, like she like looks like it's like has a demon inside her. She's like freaking out and stuff, and she gets out of being tied down and starts to choke Sam, and then Sam's reaching out to his mom, just as one last attempt, and then Amelia throws Sam to the side, and then she's just kind of in shock of what she just did, and she gets up, and then she pukes up some sort of black fluid, and then she's fine at that point. And honestly, like what actually happens, like on the detail level, I kind of like forget like what happens after she coughs him up. Is that point that is when the Babadook goes all the way upstairs, right?
Yep. That's a very powerful moment. She throws up. I mean, that basement scene is like peak horror, man. She's convulsing. You're hearing screeching. She's choking her own son. Like, the look on her face is just pure hatred. And she pukes it up. And then you're like, all right, sweet, we're good. And they go upstairs, but it's not over.
And I will say credit to the mom in that scene, though, because this kid has tied her down. She is totally possessed, and you can see that she is fighting with this thing that's inside of her for control over her actual body. And as she is hurting her own child, her child touches her face, and she basically exercises herself somehow after all of this.
This was something that really struck me about the movie.
Like,
there was no like ritual. There was no.
It was just
priest,
her kicking it out.
It is a repetitive theme, though. We see this throughout the movie.
She just exercises
made a stand
herself. Yeah,
and it was really. I was like,
which is a new kind of. It's a new kind of thing. You don't normally see that in horror movies like that.
And we see it again shortly after, because they go up to their bedroom where the Babadook is not gone, and he makes a final stand against her, where, I mean, the Babadook always manifests itself in the dark, and they have a dark end of the room, and throughout the movie,
because of course they do,
Sam sees him in his closet, or his wardrobe, I should say, and the doors always swing open. It's just a black void in there. But now in this scene, when they go up to his bedroom or her bedroom, it is not just a black void in the wardrobe. It is the whole fourth wall of that room is a black void, and it starts to suck Sam from her arms while cracking the house. You see all of a sudden he has massive horns. All the screeching sounds he made throughout the movie are now amplified by 1,000. The World of Warcraft dragon sound is played like 10 times.
Yep.
But it is
really
still
great.
nonetheless extremely scary and powerful. And the whole movie, it just seems like he's just gotten stronger and stronger, more powerful and powerful. And she finally yanks Sam back. She's not letting Sam get pulled away from her because the Babadook has requested him from her several times throughout the movie.
Yep.
And now she says,
This is my house.
Yeah, this is my house. You're trespassing. Get the F away from my son.
She says, I will kill you
I
if
will
you touch him
effing
again.
kill
Yeah.
you if you touch him. And she screams
Like a
louder
primal scream.
and more shrill and more powerful than the Babadook scream. And that is what causes him to retreat. And she finally reclaims ownership of her own house and her own
Most of it.
Which is
Yeah.
funny because
yeah.
so that last scene really, and I remember mentioning to you guys there was a scene in the movie where she's looking at old footage or looking at old news articles, and it's playing the Babadook in like this old timey reels.
Yep.
And that's a scene ripped straight from It. And this last scene is actually another scene ripped straight from It when the Babadook has that final stand and reveals himself. There's actually
not know that.
there's actually a flashing light, which is exactly what It
Oh,
is.
I hate that. That was so creepy.
So, in the whole thing about the Babadook in the book says, the less you believe in me, the more powerful I get. And the irony of that is the less she believed in him and the more she belittled him, the less powerful he got, which is the exact same thing in the movie It. So there's a lot of parallels in those two movies.
Yeah, I think that's a strong allegory for grief and fear. But as she does banish the Babadook, we see a coat and gloves and top hat fall to the ground, which is we've repeatedly seen throughout the movie.
In the Freddy
And-
Krueger hands.
In the Freddy
Yeah.
Krueger hands, yeah. And as she goes to touch it, to pick it up, because she's only seen it before and she's always been afraid of it.
Right.
So I think it
And she
probably,
still is.
It
She
probably
still
belonged.
is.
It probably belonged to her husband.
She's still afraid of it.
Yeah, and as she goes to touch it, he's like, "No." Sam is like, "No, don't touch it." And as she touches it, as you say, she gets shocked. There's this flashing light. We see this camera vision of the Babadook retreating back into the basement, which has always been a point of contention in the movie. It's the creepy, ominous thing.
Because that's where her husband's
That's
things
where
Stuff
her husband's
is,
things are. So that is potentially where the Babadook now resides.
It is confirmed.
Confirmed.
Which is the weird part
And
of
the last
movie,
scene
I
of the
thought.
movie is essentially her and her son finding worms in the ground, and then it cuts to her walking down to the basement and feeding the Babadook worms.
Which is
kind
a
of
very
just-
strange choice.
Basically placating the demon
Right.
and keeping it at bay instead of like moving
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
a different house.
It allows ambiguity. It allows ambiguity in multiple interpretations of the ending. Was the Babadook really a physical or metaphysical entity that was tormenting them? Or was it merely a psychological manifestation of their own guilt?
The psychological manifestation drag bowls of worms without hands.
It could be. It could be.
Because I saw
mean,
that.
we are watching the movie through something called an unreliable narrator, which is a literary device where
That's
We
English
are-
101, guys.
it's not English 101. It's
Yeah, it's
actually
not.
like it's probably
102.
102.
AP English.
Okay, well, I learned it in English 101. I don't
Did
know
you
what
really?
high school you went to. But
Dude.
Let's not talk about that.
Let's not talk about that. But yeah, the unreliable narrator is presumably throughout this movie the mother, and you can barely tell if she's sleep deprived, all these kind of things. We don't know how much of the movie is real or not. I mean, that's what's good about a horror movie, right? I mean, that's why like Friday the 13th is kind of lame. Like, yeah, everyone says, "Oh, Freddy Krueger's not real," and all of a sudden, "Oh, he is real," but then
Yeah.
he's not.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, that was settled. This movie leaves you wondering a little bit, and it lets you, after everything's said and done, really explore the themes and all the artistic choices they made. So it's not just clear cut and dry. And I think that's probably why people rank this in one of the top horror movies of all time, even though it's not the scariest horror movie of all time.
Yeah. It's very, very well executed with the minimal resources that they had at the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, the realism, just kind of like, hey, like, this is something that she mentions at the end of the movie, like, hey, like, it was a lot better today. And, like, just kind of like, hey, like, fear and grief are things that actually, like, impact every aspect of our lives. And, like, for me, it's like, I think it is an actual being, but also it's not an actual being. And, yeah, it is kind of the manifestation.
I think it wanted to highlight mental health.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because that's very apparent from the final scenes in the movie where, like, today's a better day. Like, that's so stereotypical of someone who's struggling with mental health, and the whole journey that they go through is, a single mom who doesn't know how to ask for support,
right,
and has trouble keeping relationships stable, and is at the end of her rope, and who has a child that needs help, and the list continues to go on, and anyone going through that is going to struggle with separating reality from not reality.
Yeah, and I think
100%.
all the kids' problems stem from the mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the kid is just, like, so supportive and so intelligent, and, like, I literally, there's a point where, like, the kid gets, like, better, quote unquote, and, like, it's just when,
he
like,
does take on the adult role many times through the movie.
Yeah, and I think kind of the switch, like, I feel like it is kind of from the narrative, mainly of the mom, but also a little bit from the son, because like we see kind of like at the beginning of the movie where the mom is the adult and she's seeing her son, like, act out, and then it flips kind of to, like, the mom acting out and the son being the adult. And, like, for me, it's just like, yeah, like, a lot of kids' problems are just their parents' problems, and like at this point, like, the kid is just in survival mode, but he still loves his mom so much, and, like, because that's all she has. And, like, I think my favorite character in the whole movie is the Rosie next door, the grandma.
old lady. That was gonna be mine too.
fantastic.
And, like, I started to tear up when she, like, knocked on the door. She's like, "I love you guys." I was like, "Oh my
Like,
God."
I'll do anything for
Yeah,
you.
that's
She literally says that, and you're like, oh my God, she's gonna die.
Yeah.
That's
I'm still not sure she's alive.
That's an important aspect you bring up, because that moment you mentioned, Sam, is what snaps the mom out of her about to kill her son rage.
Right.
Because that was foreshadowed in the movie, and that is brought up time and time again in the movie. Just my personal opinion, I don't think this is a supernatural horror movie. I think this is purely psychological. I don't think the Babadook is real. I think he is purely a manifestation of her own problems. And Samuel's not perfect either.
Yes.
I was a pretty lousy kid.
first grade.
I did a lot of
And the theme with
exacerbating
Samuel is
things.
that he says things that he shouldn't say all the time.
But I agree with you, Sam, that I think a lot of his problems were just manifestations of her. Like, the Babadook book could have been any book. Just
Right.
with, like, think she was reading The Big Bad Wolf
Which is
in the opening scene, and then all of a sudden that book's gone, and now it's the Babadook. She could have been reading him The Big Bad Wolf the whole time,
Yes.
but because of her negative energy and her mental health issues, he manifested that as the Babadook. And she wasn't cognizant of that because she was sleep deprived, because she was sexually unsatisfied, because she had a lot of lingering guilt around her husband's death, and also resentment of her son. You see the things she says to her son. She tells him to eat shit. She tells him, "I wish you weren't born." These are abusive mentalities that are not uncommon in a lot of parent-child relationships. But at the same time, she does these things, and then the child, Samuel, does something to her that is surprising. Like, he's screaming one scene, and then all of a sudden the next scene he's like, "Oh, I love you, Mom. I just don't want you to die." And, like, in our mind that doesn't make sense, but we're seeing the movie through her lens.
Right.
So he is probably just manifesting her negative energy, and his love for her is what snaps her out of that. She's like, "Wow, okay, my child needs me. Like, I do love him. He loves me. I can't let the pain of my husband's death do all this kind of stuff." And I think that is what the Babadook is. we see it a couple times throughout the movie. She wants to kill her son. She wants to kill herself so she can be with her husband again, because she would rather be with her husband than live a mediocre or crappy life with her son. And that's why we see several manifestations of her husband saying, "Bring me the child," or the Babadook says, "Bring me the child," because she knows she can't just kill herself and be with him. She can't leave her son because she still wants to be a good mother, and that's the good part of herself warring with the bad part of herself. And like you said, when the grandma comes in the end and she says, "I love you, I care about both of you," that's what snaps her out of her completely demonic, murderous rage. But then her son stabs her and she falls back into it. So
Yeah.
you know, here or there. But at the end,
Still real.
at the end, when like it's a weird choice, Joey said, like, why did they feed the Babadook? I think that is an allegory for like, mental illness. Like as Nick said, it's not over.
You have to address it. You
Yeah.
can't just ignore it.
People don't deal with their mental illness in like one night.
And
There's no magic moment. Like we have to feed and appease our mental illnesses in the way that works, that allows us to cope with life, allows us to live our life, and allows us to be true to ourselves and be true to our grief. In her terms, dealing with her dead spouse. For you, it could be any number of things, but you have to acknowledge that and recognize that. I mean, that's what the Babadook says, "Let me in." She did not let that in.
And I think that's, you and I are on the same track with this. I'm on the same page of, I think this is more of a mental illness allegory.
Psychological horror.
And I think the final scene is saying you have to address your mental illness. You have to address your problems. You can't just ignore it, because that's the whole theme in the entire movie from the very beginning.
Yeah, she's ignoring it.
She's ignoring
her
and
son.
it grows.
Or
and
she just, give me a sedative.
And his whole point is his whole
Push
point
it
in the
away.
book is, if you ignore me,
Throw
I
the
grow,
book-
I
throw
grow
the book
more.
away.
I grow more powerful if you ignore me. And guess what? He does. And then she finally addresses it and says, "I am bigger than you," and it shrinks, and it's not as big of a deal, and it's manageable, and it's a day-to-day thing. It's not this, I can't overcome this. It's I can deal with this. I can manage it. And I think that's a very, very powerful thing. Very, very similar to the message in, what's the movie that we just talked about?
Yeah, Joey, what movie did you just talk about?
I was talking about Hereditary, but that was forever
Hereditary.
ago.
That's a very similar allegory in Hereditary.
Although they don't win that one.
They do not win that one. Awesome.
It remains to be seen if they'll win this one. The director
Way to
Owns-
take all of it.
owns the sole rights to the sequel, but says she does not want to make a sequel.
She won the day and won the 2 weeks.
I think that's fine. I'm okay with there not being a sequel.
I
to
think
The
this
Babadook.
is the perfect
Yeah,
standalone.
I think
movie.
a sequel would. The thing that
It does not need to be the next Conjuring.
the reason
it doesn't even need to be remade. I don't think.
that the movie remains, I don't know, scary, but at least thought provoking, is the very end, because whether the thing is real or not, it's still there. Whether that is mental illness or a literal thing, this thing must be contended with day in and day out, like they've already mentioned. But for us as viewers, we don't get to see that resolved, because there is not there's not an answer. There simply is a problem. Some problems don't have immediate answers. Some problems don't even have answers until we leave this earth, and that is one of them, especially with the if we want to go with the psychological angle of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into the ratings. So Josh reminded me that we rate these movies from F tier.
What do we do?
It's good
1
to
out
know.
of 10
It's good to
last
know.
time?
Yeah, we did 1 out of 10. Which
totally forgot
we
that.
can redact.
We
the
have to
ones.
retroactively go back to.
Yeah, I mean, so I gave it a 10 out of 10. So Velocipaster is S tier movie
Oh
for me.
yes, 100%. Anyone who's wrong gets shot with a little weird dart crossbow.
Velocipaster is an S tier in my book.
It's an S tier in my book as well.
Yeah, it's incredible.
We've
Such a good
already
movie.
said what needs to be said about Velocipaster.
Yeah.
It's S tier.
But
Top of the line.
the Babadook, I mean, so it's not a B movie, so I mean, it's its own, I mean, category with other movies. But for me,
We can still, I think we can safely categorize it in the beer.
Yeah,
or the,
I'd put it in the same.
I just said the beer, but the B movie category.
Beer movie category.
In
We're meter testing.
He's fine. He hasn't
in the
drunk much at all.
context of what we have reviewed already, I think a $2 million budget is small enough to justify saying
I think
this
that's
is-
fair.
This is a lower budget movie than most horror movies made that are high profile.
yeah, this is, I mean, this is probably my one of top 2 horror movies that I've ever seen.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah,
That's aggressive.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I've seen this movie
About to
3 times.
Blow your mind.
And I mean, this movie is an S tier movie for me. I just think I mean, for me, a good horror movie rides the line of like reality of as far as like, you know, mental illness, and also like being really scary and a really good, well shot movie. Like this movie is really well done. It's I wouldn't say it's super scary, but it's very anxious and very stressful. And so it kind of scares you in ways that normal horror movies don't scare you in. So yeah, I'd give this an S tier. What about you guys?
Go ahead, Weasel.
Well, you already know what I think about it. It's a fantastic movie. But in the context of everything else, I'm going to have to give it an F tier because I hate scary movies.
Fair
it's
enough.
dog water. If you want to get scared and have nightmares, watch this movie. That's all I got to say.
We can just strike that opinion
Dude,
from the
I
record.
was squealing the whole movie. I could not sit still.
He did actually make the
I was
movie
afraid
easier
to
to
go
watch.
This is the thing. This is the gripe that I have.
I
So,
can't handle it.
This is the gripe that I have. So this was Joey's first time watching the movie, and we talked about it a little bit before we started recording, and he wasn't completely convinced of the scariness, and I think it definitely it took away from a little bit. It took the edge off of it. You
Yeah.
know, watching it with friends,
We're all
and
talking.
also watching it with someone who's more scared than anyone in this room will be in a million years, and so it automatically makes you feel a little bit more, safe.
Yeah.
So
Really,
That is
I
valid.
am so empathetic. If I know someone's next to me getting scared, I'm getting scared.
I'm
with
gonna
them.
I'm
I'm
the
gonna
other
interrupt Nick for
Well,
a
that's 'cause you're a
second,
big macho
just
boy.
to add a caveat.
I'm an alpha.
Nick confessed to us that the first time he watched this movie, it was in a room, dark, by himself, like a freaking psychopath.
Yeah,
So
he's
I would
traumatized.
maintain that
I
the
am
way we
traumatized.
watched it is the way most people watch horror movies.
I am a self-proclaimed horror buff. I love horror movies. I may not be the expert in them, but if something drops on Netflix, that's a
You're
horror
gonna watch
movie,
it?
I watch it that day,
I have a question later.
which
then.
is what I did with that.
Have you seen His House?
Who?
His House.
I don't think I have.
It's a horror movie on
Our
Netflix.
House.
I'm curious.
Is
in the
it
middle of
Our street.
Our house. Gonna get sued for singing a song.
Okay,
Oh crap!
it's
All right.
it's our own interpretation. I can't say that word.
Joey? What tier do you give this movie?
Okay. It is a very good movie, and I would probably agree with Nick that some of the true scary, because when I was talking, I think it was last weekend, I grabbed lunch with Nick and Sam, and they mentioned that Nick said that the Babadook was the scariest horror movie he had seen.
No, sir.
That did
Not
happen?
The scariest movie I've ever seen.
That's going to be a conversation later then, because I want to know. But I was prepared for this movie to be absolutely terrifying. And it's not terrifying, but it's still very good. And the themes that it hits on are the themes that I look for in good horror movies. I want someone to, so many horror movies are just people, you establish their character, and then stuff happens to them. And then that's the movie. Often they don't even survive to the end. I want something where there is a journey before the horror movie, there's a journey during the horror movie, and then I want to understand what the results are. And this movie does that, and that is good. The character development is good, and that's what good horror movies have. I would put this one I think pretty firmly in the A tier. There are a couple movies in the S tier that I can't. There are just some movies that I just think are better in the horror movie genre. Hereditary, The Ritual, The Descent, definitely The Descent. But this is still, like, I would watch that again happily right now.
Okay.
Oh, there was one other thing.
Wait, what category did you put it in?
A.
Okay.
One other thing about it that another movie it reminds me of that's not even in the same genre. Did you guys ever watch Uncut Gems?
Yes.
Oh my
No,
god!
haven't.
I'm
No
so glad.
spoilers. No
I'm
spoilers.
so glad you said that.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
horror
that
movie.
same feeling of Mother of God,
Absolute
something break, something go
stress.
wrong or something go right because this is untenable
The tension
for
is
90 straight
palpable
minutes.
the entire time.
In Uncut Gems, in case you've not seen it, that
Okay.
is an allegory about addiction. That's a whole different thing, but
So most stressful movie I've ever watched is Uncut Gems.
yes, 100%.
I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
Yeah, I watched that in the theater and I almost walked out,
was
and
in
I've never
theaters?
walked out. What?
It was in theaters.
It made a
That was a
ton of
Netflix
money,
movie.
dude.
That-
There was talks about Adam Sandler getting an Oscar for a little bit.
That's so interesting.
People do say that's his
I
best
almost
performance.
walked out of that movie too.
Yeah, it's just
And
so
not because I didn't like it.
no,
but because
it's
I was
the
literally
objective
so stressed.
was to make you. It was like shoot,
The
Midsummer,
final-
same thing.
Yeah, the final area where he was like in the glass case, I was like I'm done. Okay,
Yeah,
so
let's move on.
I'm gonna give this an A tier. It's not the
Yeah.
greatest horror movie I've ever seen, but it is very, very close to the greatest horror.
It's
movie
pretty
I've
comfortably
ever
a
seen.
top 10 horror movie.
Very comfortably in the top 10. Okay, we've talked a lot about this movie.
It's a
good
great movie, so I could talk about it a lot longer. But
Weasel, you have some trivia for us.
You guys ready for Weasel's trivia?
We need some trivia music.
We do need
we
trivia
need to
music.
see
Hit
if
up
Adam
Adam.
can get us some trivia music.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I need to get a
All over
nice
Joey.
tux and a quaff
perfect.
going. Give me a lectern. All right. Contestants, we have a multiple choice question. It's either A, B, or C. The name of the movie, Babadook, is a Hebrew word which means A, let it in, B, he is coming for sure, or C, the big bad wolf.
I'm
So-
going to go A.
A.
Let it in.
What do you say, Sam?
I'm gonna go C to be different.
C?
I'm gonna go B. That way someone's right, and also B is hilarious.
Bunch of contrarians.
All right. Da-da-da. Drum roll. The correct answer is B. He is coming for
for
sure.
sure, people.
That is ridiculous.
I don't think that's a literal translation. It might be more like a slang thing, but that is what it means in Hebrew.
that's
all right.
that's ridiculous.
It is pretty funny. Now that I read it out loud,
He
like
is coming for
coming
sure.
when I was writing these trivia things, like I
That's
saw
like
that,
what I
was
text someone
yeah,
when I'm about to
that makes
flake
sense.
out.
I was like struggling.
I am coming for sure. What's
I
your
was
address
struggling
again?
to write other answers that were like credible. I didn't realize you guys wouldn't take the right answer not seriously. I thought it sounded kind of scary.
No, it
Sounds
fits. It fits the narrative of the book.
I don't know, dude. I'm
Sounds kind of ridiculous.
I'm scared of climaxing.
I mean, he did say it went never
Um,
this
Yeah,
way.
so she,
All right, next
the
question.
mom in the story is not.
No, she is.
is
Well,
not.
she didn't get a chance to.
is unfortunate.
Just watch the movie. You'll get
It's yeah.
What item was made for the Kickstarter campaign as a collector's item? Is it A, the Babadook's hat, C, the pop-up book, or C, a black and white Babadook TV sequence on DVD or VHS?
If it is C, then that is dog water.
I choose to believe C. Go and
It was
see.
very
if it is
specific.
if it is not B, that is
It's an error.
Dude, you think
unacceptable.
You think they would make that whole pop-up book as a collector's
it was like
item?
4
All of those
pages.
are
Man,
Dude, the quality of that pop-up book in that movie is
It's
insane.
fire,
I've
dude.
never seen. She slits her own throat and liquid blood comes out.
Okay, it won't be a literal interpretation of the book.
I don't know.
If it is not B,
don't
that
have-
is
you don't have the book.
absolutely ridiculous.
You don't have the book.
Okay, you're right. I don't.
All right. Votes. Sam.
Man, I'm gonna go B.
B. Nick says B. What do you say, Joey?
C is coming for sure.
Yeah. The correct answer is the pop-up book.
Yes. Okay.
Damn your piggy
I'm
little eyes.
I'm thinking in a marketing my
Yeah.
marketing mind. I'm like, there's no way that it's
I'm just imagining a bunch of edgelords dropping them off in front of single mom's
right.
houses.
Exactly. Like A is a good one. Like the top hat's obviously a good option, but the B, like the pop-up book, is better.
Actually, I heard that fact way before I ever saw the movie, and I thought people were like, someone had the book, and I think they posted something about it, and there were only like 2,500 made. Like you said, the movie had like a $2 million budget, and like
I want one now.
$200,000 was raised on Kickstarter.
That's impressive.
I really want one of those books. I'm
Dude,
gonna look into
Have
that.
you see what happens when you have that book?
I'm good.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
That's true. That's true. You might
Boba,
come
run.
to some nice conclusions with your significant other.
Oof. Oof, owie. Boba's bones.
Oof, owie. That's some bone hurting juice right there. Literally. All right, next question. To avoid childhood trauma, the child actor for Samuel was absent during the abuse scenes. What stand-in lines were used to create his real reactions that were edited in? A. I'm going to throw your Legos in the river. B. You should have been aborted. Or C. No ice cream for a year.
I'm gonna go with B for sure, because if a kid's not there, they're gonna go with the most offensive thing.
No,
they can say.
these were the things they
Other way around.
said to the child actor
Yeah.
to get his reaction.
Oh,
Because
well, it's
the child was
definitely-
not present when she told him to eat shit or when
Thank
she pulled
God.
the knife. They had an adult stand
Kinda
at
wish he
knee height
was.
with a wig on.
Okay,
so
so-
they said these things to the child while they pointed the camera at him.
okay. So it
to
can't
get him
be
to
B.
scream.
There's no way it's B. Like that's.
I think it's A.
I
I
think
don't
it's
know.
A too.
I would scream with joy if someone told me
Legos
that
are
shit.
amazing.
I'm gonna
Yep.
say C.
Joke's on them, though. You throw Legos in the river, those suckers float.
All right, Nick says C. What do you say, Sam?
A.
A. Joey says A.
Yep.
The correct answer is A. I'm going to throw your Legos in the river.
Damn it.
They might have told him
All right.
something about
For the
ice
record,
cream.
I got 2. Joey's got 2.
Yep.
Oh, thank you for keeping the score, Sam.
I have
Should
one.
have been
Nick's
that.
got
I
one.
have one.
All right, last question, not multiple choice. So this is for all the marbles. Babadook has a rare achievement among popular horror movies. The entire cast is alive except for one. Who is it?
I think it's Oscar, the father.
The dog.
Yeah, it's the dog, isn't it?
The dead dad.
It's the dog.
The correct answer is the dog.
Okay.
Oh,
About to say either that or one
I
of
did not think you
the
guys were gonna
nursing
get that.
home patients just keeled
All of
over.
the nursing
like,
home patients.
Dog people, man. Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. I'm sure that I'm sure
Yes.
they're dead too.
thanks for those questions, Wes.
Thank you.
was
Those are good
really
questions. Those
are good. Great
Solid
questions.
trivia.
That was.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. It was fun.
Okay.
All right, Joey. Not Joey.
That's fine.
Nick, I think you have a
Yes.
Everything is Awful segment. for us?
So, well, we were going to do our Twitter questions
Oh,
slash
my bad. I'm getting ahead of
questions
myself.
first. Yeah. Just calm your tits there, my friend. Okay.
Calm those mommy milkers.
For the sake of time, do we just want to do the first and last one from Josh?
Yeah, if I can find them. Okay. So, actually, I'm going to skip the first one because we've already kind of covered that. Josh, by the way, thanks for sending us questions. Really appreciate it. So just we'll open the floor to everyone. So just stream of consciousness. Are there any moments in horror movies that went too far for you personally? Just was there a horror movie that stands out to you? It was just like going a little bit too far.
I think The Descent. When so The Descent is a movie where
Dare you?
Those are fighting words, sir.
so The Descent.
Careful. what you
Everything
say
about the
next.
descent is perfect.
Well, so no, I mean, so part of The Descent is a group of friends that go caving, and then there's a girl who she's going into a hole just to go farther into the cave, and she gets stuck. And I mean,
I'm anxious thinking
I'm
about
stuck,
it.
step bro.
and then I mean, imagine
Get your
yourself
mouth.
in like a 2x2 like cave.
They call that the birth canal.
Yeah.
Do they
And-
really call it that?
I've been caving once, and I also had to slip through a very tiny hole, and they called it the birth canal.
I'm not claustrophobic at all,
And-
but I am fearful of getting stuck.
And
Is that the same
since
thing?
that day, I have been claustrophobic.
I don't think it is, but
Like,
it's similar.
Slightly different, but very
You could like
related.
wrap me up in a sarcophagus, and I would sleep like a baby.
I am extremely claustrophobic.
But if I'm getting
Same.
stuck in something, that sucks.
I didn't think I was claustrophobic, and then I got an MRI, And
Really?
I literally was
loved
like,
it.
get me out of here right now. And I drove 2 hours to an open MRI 2 months later because there was only one within 100 miles. of where
Get
I
me
am.
out of here for sure.
Yes.
My
That
brain's
was
fine, by
That
the
was
way,
too
if you're
much
wondering.
there.
I'm glad.
Congratulations.
My brain is great.
How's your brain doing after that, Amber?
Finish your thought.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, so yeah, the descent in particular when one of the cavers is going through the birth canal, I like that. It's just it's not even like I mean, it doesn't even like there's scarier parts in the movie, but I think personally for me that was like I can't do this. I see myself where she's at right now, and I want to get out of here, and I wanted her to get out of there, and it was just really freaky for me.
Good. Fair enough.
I've got one, but it's really bad.
We're here.
Okay. So in the Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead, there is a scene where one of the characters is, I don't know how to put it delicately, is assaulted by a tree. Have you seen this movie?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can go any further than that.
You don't need
But
to.
Enough
it's
said.
it's completely unnecessary to the plot of the film. It is the one thing I think Sam Raimi has done truly terrible in any of his stuff because I'm a huge fan. But
Spider-Man
every
3
time
was
that
pretty bad.
the Spider-Man 3 Spider-Man 3 is pretty rough.
we don't talk about it.
But that movie is
You were talking about real horror. Yeah. Let me tell you about. Never mind. Keep going.
But that is the only time I watch a movie because The Evil Dead is such a good movie if you subtract that scene. And every time I get to that scene, I have to skip it. It's the only thing I cannot stand.
So I'll piggyback off of your thought.
Okay.
And my two examples are The Hills Have Eyes
Yeah.
and Last House on the Left.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Anything that involves sexual violence,
Not
to
acceptable.
me, personally, is gratuitous.
Yep. You can find a way around it. I guarantee you.
To be fair, The Hills Have Eyes and The Last House on the Left are brilliant movies, but I really struggle with those scenes where there's sexual violence, and it really puts me in a bad place.
Yep.
And I struggle to enjoy the rest of the movie.
Huh.
And I think there's a bigger discussion to be had here.
Yeah.
I think, but I think what I will say is just that I don't know that it's ever necessary.
No.
Agreed.
I think there's a message that you can get across in an artful and empathetic and impactful way, but it doesn't have to be graphic.
If you are a good artist, you can communicate your message in more than one way.
You don't
You can
have
do
to
it
be
without
Rob-
hurting people.
You do not have to be Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
Like, you don't. You don't have to be Rob Zombie in everything that you do. So those are my two examples where anything that just really throws sexual violence out to the forefront and just kind of adds it as shock value is really going to...
Yeah.
Like, even if it's a great movie, which both of those two examples are, I can't.
Not gonna
It just
work.
really hurts my experience.
Yeah, I don't really watch a lot of horror movies, so I don't really have a strong opinion. I did watch this one movie on cable one time. It really messed me up as a kid. I was probably like 12. It's from the 80s. I just remember they were in like some mansion, there's some door, and someone was getting dragged down by some like weird tentacle flesh monster. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that movie. I've tried to look this up
Chronicles of
online.
Narnia?
Yeah, I've tried to
No,
look this up
like
online.
the third one, maybe.
I mean, it was on like
Or the old BBC
it was
ones.
on like TNT.
It'd have to be a Lovecraft movie.
No, like I mean, it was like a cheesy '80s horror movie, but just the physical.
Again.
Like they didn't have CGI back then, so the
Lovecraft movie.
physical props. It was just like she was getting dragged down to hell. I don't know. I'll find it out later.
That's a movie.
It is. It
What,
is. It was
Being Dragged
awful.
Down to Hell is a movie?
Dragged Down to Hell is the name of a movie.
Oh.
All right. Well, I guess that's it.
No, that's a new movie.
Is it any good?
No.
Okay.
It's bad.
Fair
It's
enough.
bad. Okay.
And
Cool.
then
Yeah.
the final question from Josh is, what is your pitch for a personally directed horror movie based on your own fears and interests?
Ooh, now I can do this. The resident scaredy cat in the house. The perfect horror movie would just be a biopic of my life.
So you were living in a horror
Actually,
movie right
that could
now.
be kind of
Dude,
fun, though.
you know what these glasses are? These are nightmare glasses. You know what the crazy thing is? I take them off, I put them back on, You know what? Nothing changes.
You were still in the reality you were in.
Spooky.
No.
So what about you?
So for me, I will take full credit for introducing you to The Descent, by the way, because
He introduced me too.
I will say The Descent is the greatest horror movie of all time.
It is superb.
I don't care if you're not claustrophobic. It's still the best horror movie of all time because it will make you feel claustrophobic. I am very claustrophobic, and because of that, The Descent is already a scary concept. But being not able to breathe, or just not having room to move or get out of a situation, and like also being like hunted by
and suddenly not able to
nightcrawlers,
trust the people around you.
like real life Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
like
you're just getting chased by Smeagol's.
Yeah, not cool. So any concept that deals with claustrophobia or being in an unescapable situation, that's going to be my elevator pitch.
Yeah, I'm very similar. So I think The Descent is also it's I would say that's in top 3 for me, horror movie wise. But
Descent
I feel like
is number 1 for me, scariest and also favorite horror movie.
Gotcha. But I think for me, I think my pitch for the spin on that movie would be I'm going caving with my friends, and then I go down at first, and then I get trapped down there, and they can't get down to me, and then they abandon me. And I feel like that for me, it's like it would involve the claustrophobia aspect of things and also like abandonment. And I haven't really, I don't think I can really expand on that more other than like writing out like a storyboard. But if like The Descent happened, and if my friends abandoned me at the same time, that would be terrible.
So like The Descent.
Well, yeah. So like, would that happen? It's like it's like betrayal and kind of like splitting. And
There is betrayal in that movie.
And like,
there's a couple bitches there.
I can believe betrayal. Like, I'm okay with someone betraying me, but if someone abandons me, like,
Note to self: betray Sam later. He's cool with it.
Betrayal. Julia, do you have one?
Okay, I'm gonna just shamelessly borrow from 2 films I've seen over the past 2 weeks, or a film and a TV show. I'm going to borrow from It Follows, and I'm going to borrow from Midnight Mass. You have a concept in Midnight Mass where there is a guy trying to escape from his past, and his past was an alcoholic who gets a DUI, and he gets that DUI and a manslaughter charge because he drives super drunk, doesn't even remember it, and kills someone. So the thing that annoyed me about It Follows, aside from the fact that the it that follows you can get really fast when it's not on camera sometimes, is the fact that it's picked up. It's an STD, basically. It's a sexually transmitted disease. But let's say you there's a guy, he gets a DUI and he kills someone, and this thing is released at the same time he is, and it just follows him, and it's this allegory for regret and things he can't get off his back, and it follows him for the rest of his life until he can find a way to separate himself from his past. That would be my horror movie.
Sounds very personal.
That sounds great.
Regret is a big theme for like.
So It Follows is it's in my top 10. It's one of my favorites.
It also pretty much just is the plot to Midnight Mass with a thing chasing you instead. So it's not super original on my part, but
I haven't watched Midnight Mass yet. I'm pretty excited about watching it.
That's good.
Okay, what's next?
Real
quick, Joey, did you still want to hear my top 5?
Yes, I do, very badly. If anyone else has one, I want that too.
I made 2 top 5s, and I'll go very, very quickly. So my top 5 favorite horror movies, not necessarily the scariest horror movies, but definitively best overall story, quality, cinematography, iconography horror movies of all time. So Descent will be my number 1 no matter what category we're talking about when it comes to horror movies. The Exorcist is my number 2.
Wow.
Rosemary's Baby is my number
I have not
3.
seen that one yet.
If you haven't seen Rosemary's Baby, you are good Lord, you're missing out. It is a
I've heard it's amazing.
very,
I think I just heard about it. And I'm
very,
scary.
very good movie.
I don't want to watch it.
The Silence of the Lambs is my number 4.
Really?
Is that a horror movie?
I've seen that. Yeah, it's a horror movie.
And The Strangers.
Really? Oh, that's right. We talked about this.
Yeah. So those are my top 5 favorite horror movies. And I won't get into why. That's another discussion. And then my top 5 scariest horror movies is obviously number 1 is The Descent. Number 2 is actually, surprisingly, The Strangers. And I will explain this. So the most shock value moment that I've had watching a horror movie is the very end. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen The Strangers, first of all, don't watch it because it's disturbing. Second of all, spoiler alert, this is how the movie ends. Basically, murderers kill the whole family. And the family says at the very end, "Why are you killing us?" And the people say, "Just because you were home." And that sent chills down my spine, and I have never been the same since.
It's probably not a good time to say it's based on a true story, is it?
Yeah, it could really happen.
Yeah, it did.
So it's very scary to me. Third would be Creep. If you haven't seen that movie,
Yeah, I've seen that movie. It's scary.
It is
Very
very,
creepy.
very good.
It's so scary. I
Also-
punched my fiance.
Terrifying.
Cool. Love that.
Fourth
God.
scariest is The Conjuring. Maybe not so today since I've seen it so many times,
Sure.
but when it first came out, The Conjuring was terrifying. And then last, my 5th would be Get Out, because it is so
That's a
much
good one.
It is so much more than the scary parts. But it is a very scary movie. So that's my definitive, at the very moment, favorite 5 and scariest 5.
That's a really good list. I like
a
both
great
of
That's a
those.
good list.
I put a lot
That
of
makes me
thought
kind of want to
Respect
watch Creep.
Creep. Oh,
Have you not seen it? How have you guys not seen it? Have you seen it, Sam?
I have.
that is a B movie.
Wait, so
It is a B movie.
That is seriously a B
is
movie.
Creep the one where the
Wolf
girl's
Mask.
deaf, or is that a different one?
No, it's the guy with the
The
wolf
guy
mask.
who
Yeah, oh yeah,
meets
yeah.
someone basically on Craigslist and is like a super creep.
God, it's
Yeah.
so bad. Especially when you live in the cabin in the middle of Appalachia, dude.
Oh man, I have a lot of
And I
good
did
memories.
when I first
watching
watched that
horror
movie.
movies
I
in that
lived in a
cabin.
cabin in the woods in Asheville, North Carolina, with no one else living around me.
Same. Except it was
And
big.
so
But I
I
live
was
with Sam.
pretty spooked
You lived by yourself in a cabin?
in the woods.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
That's very dumb.
I loved it
I mean, you see.
Was there a Trader Joe's?
in Asheville.
I thought not.
Yes. Okay, cool. So that's my definitive 5 and 5. What's
for
next?
5.
What are we doing next?
Let's
Is it Awful Everything time?
yeah. I mean, so we didn't do this last time, but there was a subreddit on Reddit called Everything is Awful, and I hate.
Or is it awful everything?
Yeah. Or
Everything is awful, but basically I pull things from the Awful Everything subreddit.
oh, gotcha.
If you don't know what that is, don't look it up. It's
No,
just a
don't.
bad
Yeah.
time. I pick things that are not disturbing to
Like
the
things like-
degree that you can find things on Awful Everything.
like wedding dresses made out of pizza, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Ooh, that
We're-
sounds good.
We're going like soft core with
Whoa.
Everything is
okay.
awful.
Take it easy. Ooh, buy me dinner first. All right.
Okay, so basically I'll read some like little captcha headlines to you guys, and I'll just get your reactions to them. Okay. A swan dies of a broken heart after teenagers smash her eggs with rocks.
Oh,
That's awful.
Oof.
that's pretty rough.
That's a real thing that happened.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful.
I do know
Softcore.
swans.
Don't you feel
What the hell
great
is
now?
going on?
Swans can die from that kind of thing.
People can die from broken hearts, and so can animals.
Well, people are animals.
Okay.
Or are animals.
Moving on.
People are animals.
Costco
We're
is
the
selling
virus.
We have different cells.
Costco is selling bulletproof backpacks for children.
Good.
Oh my gosh, that's
Good, right?
They should
Yeah,
sell
but
guns
how
for
many do
children.
you have to buy at a time?
oh god.
Stay strapped, kids. This is America.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Catch you
rough, though,
slipping.
for real.
So
Not great.
something that seriously has been on my mind for a really long time. You know how like trends can like transcend time? Like, bell-bottom jeans are iconic, and like jean jackets are iconic, and all my all my examples are going to be jean based. But something that's really bothered me Yeah. What is it? Jinkos? Jinkos.
Yeah.
They weren't. I mean, they were iconic.
I was too young for that.
I
know you weren't.
Pretty sure I had a pair of Jinkos.
I know you did because you're freaking old.
Nick's 38.
Yeah.
I am 30,
Facts.
sir.
You might as well be 38.
He's our dad.
Those are the same. Father.
He's the bone daddy.
Oops.
It's bone zaddy to you. Okay.
Just call me Zaddy.
Carpet toilet seats or carpet in bathrooms.
Okay, I remember carpet toilet
I have
seats.
seen people with toilet seats that
I
have
can-
fabric on them.
Yep.
I can do toilet seats just like Joey said, but carpet in bathrooms, that's disgusting.
It's disastrous. It's like
Disgusting.
the
There really shouldn't be
normalist.
there really should be any fabric in a bathroom.
There should
The
not.
amount of spray coming
No,
off a
it should
toilet.
be all hard surfaces.
It should, including your towels.
You should put your toilet brush away.
Your towels are hard surfaces, or you're a pig.
Aluminum towels.
Wes
Yeah.
has got a good point.
It is SpongeBob. Welcome to the future. Everything is chrome towels.
Just wash with a Brillo pad. Why are we
Yeah.
beating around the bush?
Hey, you're right. Well,
It's just
the bush is kind of the Brillo pad, but
That is
you could, even if you didn't want a towel, you could sprint from one side of the bathroom to another and drip dry.
Just get a microwave oven.
No excuse for cloth.
microwave oven for what?
I mean, sorry. For people.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should have clarified.
An oven or a microwave?
I
Because
played
if it's
Metal
a
Gear-
microwave,
I
you have
played
to take
Metal
off
Gear
your
Solid
wedding
4.
ring
He
first,
crawls
or
through
the microwave
chamber.
explodes.
He didn't have
Okay.
a single thing of bacteria.
Last
on him.
one. I saw a post where someone was selling. These are the exact words: a slightly shat-in office chair for $10.
Slightly
And there's a
shattered.
picture of the office chair.
No,
Did he
no.
chat
Stain
in, or did
on
someone
the
else
seat.
chat in it?
Slightly shat-in.
Was it his?
It was
that
like
one?
pre-diarrhea.
It's
Oh,
not. There's
gosh.
no pre-diarrhea. There's no
So
pre-diarrhea,
it's a
dude.
skid-marked
There's no
office chair.
pre-diarrhea. If something's liquids coming out of your bum,
It's either
like,
fully or
it's
not
diarrhea.
shat-in.
I mean, anal seepage is a thing.
Well, maybe
but-
that's what he had.
I think. All right, this is my professional pants shitter opinion because I've shat my pants on more than one occasion.
Wow.
I cannot say that I've done that.
I
done it once.
actually talked
You're
about
in
this.
rare
I talked about
company,
this
sir.
yesterday, Sam. After we got done eating lunch.
Yeah, it's not a good thing to talk about.
Yeah, shout out
During
to the guy we
lunch.
ate lunch with.
Okay.
He'll get it. He's going to listen to this. Anyway,
Definitely. He'll still be listening
My
this
professional
far in.
you,
pants
dude.
shitter opinion is if you shit through your pants, it is slightly shat in. If you shit through your
Okay.
underwear, it's shat in. If you shit bare butt, it's like
Full on
catastrophic.
shat.
Yeah. At that point, I probably
Shat for sure.
At that point, I probably wouldn't even ask for money for it.
I mean, $10 for an office chair.
It's a good deal.
Get some
Only
good-
slightly shat in.
I mean, the office chairs you guys talk about on the Discord are like $800.
That's
And they're like-
Alex.
they're
that is
like,
only Alex. If you hear this,
my back.
Alex,
you pay too much money for things.
You
I paid mine for $150. That's max I'll spend on a chair.
absolute
I
goblin.
spent
You
$150
absolute-
on my current chair.
You Goblin Towery.
You're
My
a
current chair
real
came with
life
a
Luke
vibrating
Goblin.
Can we just spend 30 seconds making fun of Alex to see if he makes it this far?
No. Next.
You disgust me.
Message me right now if you hear this, Alex.
Please.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Are we really?
Here. No, we're not.
No,
Yeah.
at this point in the podcast, you dingus.
Wow. Strong words.
No one listens.
We've
to
been
this.
going for an hour and
No,
35
it does
minutes.
not matter
An
what
hour
we
and what?
say here.
35 minutes.
Okay.
Dang.
The next section.
Okay, so almost to the last portion of this podcast. So what are you guys playing right now? Weasel's got his hand up, but he's pointing to Sam.
I'm like trying to play Battlefield 4. I played
Yeah, I'm waiting for you.
Yeah, so like I played the Battlefield 2042 open beta, which was pretty fun.
Pretty great.
Chef's
Chef's kiss. I like it.
It's definitely got some things that they need to work on.
Yep.
But it like, I mean, I think Michael says it best. Like, there's like certain moments that happen in Battlefield that don't happen in any other games.
Eponymously named Battlefield Moments.
Yeah, and like I got a few of those, just kind of like not necessarily like worthy to share, but just kind of like wow, that was awesome. And I felt that with 2042, so I just hope they have some good maps, and hopefully there's some they need to do some rework. But I've been trying to play Battlefield 4 because that's a great game, and but I just haven't made time for it. Basically.
Have the servers? Are people like still playing that game?
Yeah. So there's like server
Crazy-
browser is
crazy
basically
amount
how
of
you play
people.
that game.
They have a lot of custom servers too.
Oh.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, I don't really play anything. So yeah, I probably play a few hours a week, honestly.
Used to play a lot of Apex though.
Yeah, and I think I'll probably get back to that.
Yeah, we need to keep playing that.
Don't do
Because I mean, it is King Canyon
lose all
ranked,
my
which
friends
is
when
like
they get into Apex.
the best.
I don't know
map.
why you don't like
I
Apex,
haven't
Joey.
talked to Alex
It's
in
hard.
3 years.
You're missing out.
It's
Gotta get
I
good,
just
man.
like realism royales as close as you can get, and
It's realism in a fantasy world.
it is. I just couldn't get into it, and then I got into Battlefield 5, and no one else on the planet got into Battlefield 5.
As they should not have.
It was not. It was sloppy, but World War II Battle Royale is still something I want.
Oh,
I mean, Call of
I
Duty
would be on
Vanguard's
top
gonna
of
have,
that.
Is
World
it?
War II Warzone, which could be good.
I gotta go.
What else? Is anyone else playing anything?
Weasel.
Yeah,
Weasel.
I've been playing the usual games we talked about last week. I've played some Battlefield 4 with Sam. Battlefield is one of my favorite franchises. I tried to play the open beta. I got a potato PC, so literally
You
the
just
first.
got a 30,
I got a 3060 Ti.
3060.
Is it
which I-
installed yet?
No, I need to install it.
If you need some help, let me know.
Thank you, Nick.
I'll just be there for emotional support.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to
Tell you what you're doing wrong.
Yeah, that beta was literally the first game my PC could not even run on lowest settings, which was, I think, the eye-opener moment for me. And then a week later, I got that new card. But I'm still a huge fan of old games, like playing different things. I never played through the BioShock series before. I played BioShock Infinite, which was really fun. Since it's spooky October, I knew BioShock's kind of a horror series, so I'm like halfway through the first one. It's very difficult for me to play.
It's a work of art.
I usually have to drink a few drinks before I can start, but yeah, the social commentary in that game is fantastic. And I also started playing Far Cry Blood Dragon again because Far Cry 6 came out. There's been a lot of people talking about that. Some good stuff, some bad stuff. Blood Dragon is getting a re-release like Far Cry 3 did, where it's not a remaster, but it's the classic edition. So Far Cry 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. Huge paradigm shift for the FPS genre. As one critic put it, it's literally Skyrim with guns. And Blood Dragon took that to another level. So, I mean, we watched Velocipaster last week. The parody of the genres there.
Isn't Fallout
huge.
Skyrim with guns?
Yeah, that was before Fallout.
Okay, sorry.
No, I was kidding. It's, Skyrim came out after Fallout. But yeah. Joke's on that guy. He's canceled now because of Me Too.
Oh, what's his name?
Adam Kovic.
Yeah.
Yeah, really sad. He's a really funny guy.
Yeah.
And a dumb
Rip.
critic. Yeah, rip. But yeah, Blood Dragon's great. Love that game. I mean, just like we were talking about Velocipaster, like this game just parodies everything. Like the tutorial's hilarious. Your main character complains about it the whole time. It literally tells you like press A to read prompts. Like,
Oh gosh.
yeah, but it's like just 80s movie through the roof. Cyber commandos, blood dragons, like everything about it is ridiculous. Every time you kill somebody, it does a one-liner, like I'm gonna bury you under, like I'm gonna put you in your deathbed, buried under 6 feet of my shit.
Oh gosh.
And he's like kills
love
one
that.
guy. He's like school's out for summer, and then he kills the whole compound. He's like school's out forever.
Oh gosh.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's great. And then like, yeah, you got a melee button, but if you try and melee somebody who's out of range, he just flips the person off. It's just everything about it's fantastic.
So this is made by the developers, right?
This is a standalone expansion for Far Cry 3. And I was going to ask you guys what your favorite DLC is, but we'll save that for another time. I think we're running
That's a
out of
great
time.
question.
It is a great question because Blood Dragon is definitely bringing that back for me. But just those 2 single-player games in addition to all the other stuff I've been playing, and I've been really enjoying them. So, what about you, Joey?
Okay, so I'm into a few things. My playing time lately has just recently come back to normal. I was studying for the GMAT, which is basically the SATs for the MBA, which I failed miserably. So my video game time will go back down as I restudy. But I've been into 3 kind of big things currently. One is Madden, which is the first thing I
I'm
think
coming for you, Jared.
most gamers say when they hear that is he doesn't know how to play video games. So Madden is legitimately a good time if you can get your friends in it with you, which is what we do.
It's the only way to play it.
Yeah, we've got a group of 4 of us that like run different teams and it's a whole thing. But the second game is the greatest game that has ever been made. It's at this point feeling a little crotchety, but it's only 5 years old. It's Hearts of Iron 4.
Oh, love it.
Hearts of Iron 4 is the grand strategy game of all grand strategy games.
It does my heart so good
It's
to have
so
other people in my life that like
unbelievably complex. And if you set it, you can do it in a historical. It's a World War II grand strategy game, and you could set it so that it plays like World War II. Or you can do what's called non-historical, which basically means this team at Paradox did a massive research.
If you want to make Orange Boom Dutchy,
you can.
then you can.
Yeah, the Dutch Reich.
They did a massive research into all these countries and all these movements and all these political things that were going on in the 30s and 40s, and just all the countries just go. And it is anyone's guess as to how it's going to end. And you just have to figure out, it's open-ended. You can decide where it ends and where it begins for you. It's just an amazing game. And then the third one is lesser known, I think. It's MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries. The old MechWarrior games were extremely popular. This one got, I think it was just Kickstarted, and it's sold like 1 million copies, I think. So it's like, it's not out there, but it's not crazy popular. It is the best example that I've played of a game that started out rough. Like, they did not submit a finished package, but they did right. MechWarrior is based off of the BattleTech universe, and the BattleTech universe is really deep and about 40 years old, and there's hundreds of books about it, and it goes on and on and on.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's incredibly complex.
I know there's a lot of mech games like that.
Yeah, the BattleTech universe has got the most lore of any of that style of game that I'm aware of, and it's deep and it's good. A lot of New York Times bestsellers. Michael Stackpole, who wrote he wrote I, Jedi, a lot of the X-Wing stuff. He started with BattleTech, but they launched this game. It was not ready, so they went back and they basically redid from the ground up everything, and with each new DLC they bring out a free thing that updates all the other things that they've got fixed that they wanted to change. So it started out as this, it's kind of a mess, and now it's this wonderful game for lots of people that have really not had something for their franchise in quite a long time. MechWarrior 5 is a great time. It's also fun to just blast people with giant it's basically a vehicle combat game.
Can't go wrong with that.
No.
A dream come true.
All right. So I've only been playing one new game that I haven't already talked about, and that's Potion Craft.
Oh, yeah. I've seen this one.
I love Potion
Nick
Craft.
showed it to me.
It is an alpha, so I don't suggest buying it simply because I'm just typically I'm against buying games in alpha. I just happen to have like $10 in my Steam wallet, and I saw, shout out to Angry Tom from the Yogscast. He played it. I watched him play it. It looked like a lot of fun, and it looks like the development is going well. There's going to be a lot of support for the game. Basically, the premise of the game is you throw a bunch of ingredients in a pot, and it creates potions, and you have this little map, and based on what ingredients you put in the potion, you can travel across the map and unlock new potions, and you can sell them to people that want to buy potions, and like adventurers will come up to you and be like, I want a potion to enchant my sword, and so you can make a fire potion and sell it to them, and you can like make different quality potions, and like if you make a crappy one, they'll give you not very much money, or if you make a really good one, they'll give you a bunch of money.
So you're like the town wizard, the town mage?
Basically, you're a witch that just makes crazy potions. You're just crazy witch lady that makes potions. You know, it's just, and that's basically the only mechanic in the game right now that matters. And hopefully, they'll continue to develop it and make more aspects of it. I stopped playing it for now just because I've done everything that I can do in the game because it's obviously an alpha, so I do suggest checking it out though. Watch watch a couple playthroughs of it because it's pretty cool. I like super chill games.
Yeah.
I like games to like chill out and play in between my sweaty like Apex games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Potion seller, I require strong
potion seller.
Bring me your strongest
That's
potions.
like also like 30% of why I bought that game because of that meme.
What's the meme?
Potion
I get
seller.
it.
Oh,
Potion seller.
we're gonna have
It's
to
a
talk about
great
that. What are you
video.
talking about?
You haven't seen this video?
We're gonna have to show the YouTube video.
That is an old video.
Potion
Go to
I require
YouTube and
strongest
search
potion.
potion seller
You can't handle
and
my
just
strongest potions.
enjoy.
My
It's-
potions will kill you at the mere sight of them. Potion seller. I
What is
require
this?
your
Who does this?
strongest potions.
It's so
It's
good.
just
Okay.
a YouTube video.
All right, we gotta
whatever.
finish this. We gotta
Whatever.
finish this podcast right now so that we can go watch this YouTube video.
I gotta go to bed.